Today I decided to show you 5 tips and tricks that you might didn't know that you could do with Zed. A lot has changed in this season for Zed compared to the last season, so I hope you will find this video interesting and might learn something new. A lot of Zed mains use this trick very often. It's a simple trick but yet very effective. The thing that you want to do is just throw a standard poke combo with Zed at your opponents. But with this combo you're not just poking your enemy, but you're also creating a window to engage on them when they don't expect it. The W shadow has a pretty long cooldown which many players forget, and the range that you can swap is pretty wide. So when you see a window to engage, just swap it back to your W shadow and use that to kill someone or engage with your ultimate or flash. A lot of players don't expect it because they think that you used your shadow just to poke them, and they don't realize how long the range of the swap can be. So when you use your W shadow to poke, always look out for some windows to engage. There are some things that are important to know when you build your items on Zed. When you go back, always focus on how to spend your gold the most efficient way. For example, when you are buying Eclipse, first spend your gold on longswords and combine them into a dirk. So if you have 550 gold, rather buy another longsword than upgrade your current one into a vampiric scepter, because with Zed, AD is more valuable than lifesteal. So first focus on buying all the other components if you are buying Eclipse, and only buy vampiric scepter if you don't have enough gold to instantly upgrade to Eclipse and you have all the other components. Also, if you are building Yuumu's Ghostblade and if you already have 2 longswords, rather buy a pickaxe than upgrading to a dirk if you have gold for just one thing. If you see the enemy team building a lot of armor, you can skip a lethality item and go to build Serilda's Grudge as the second item. This item gives you all the stats that you need and you are prepared for the upcoming armor that the enemy team might buy. Serpent's Fang is an item that is really good on Zed, but many players forget that it exists. You can do that in games where you are against 2 or 3 champions that have shields. For example, the enemy support is a shield support, your opponents have shield bow or Sterag's Gauge, the enemy mid or top have shields like Orianna or Riven, and so on. I mentioned this trick in my last tip and tricks video, and I don't think that many Zed players use that trick, but it can be a very useful tip to know. You usually want to max Q first, but in some matchups it's really hard to hit your Qs, so the safest and best play would be to max E first. For example, against Yasuo it's much better to max your E because it's easier to kill him 1v1 that way. There are many really good Yasuo players that can dodge your Qs with their dash or wind wall. But if you max your E instead of Q, you are going to hit it always and deal much more damage to them. You can just use your Qs to proc their passive shield and then damage them a lot with your E. So maxing E against champions with a lot of dashes or champions that are generally hard to hit with your shurikens is always a good idea. For example, versus Fizz or Katarina. I think both Conqueror and Electrocute can be very good runes on Zed this season and can have really nice synergy with some items. I use Electrocute when I play against squishy mages or a team full of squishy targets. With Electrocute I take Scorch and Transcendence because it helps you trade in lane and later in teamfights with reduced cooldowns. With Electrocute you can take any mythic item that you want, but if you really want to have max burst damage, Prowler's Claw is a good choice because it gives you bonus lethality, which you can use to burst down AD carry, mages or squishy supports. I use Conqueror when I'm laning against fighters or champions with a lot of HP that you can't just burst with Electrocute. If you play against many tanks and tanky champions in the enemy team, you should always take Conqueror. An item that really goes well with Conqueror is Eclipse. Eclipse gives you shield and movement speed and gives you time to stack Conqueror stacks. It also gives you armor penetration, which is really good against tanky champions. Zed isn't the strongest champion early levels, and good opponents don't really allow you to CS and make good trades. Without your WEQ combo you can't really trade so well, so I recommend you to not even try to trade with your enemy, but to let them push you under the turret. This is not a bad position for Zed. You can farm minions easily under turret and your opponent is actually in a risky position. Try to ping your jungler to let him know that he can gank your lane, and when you hit level 3 or when your W comes up, you can use that to follow the gank and get an easy kill that can win you the whole laning phase and maybe the whole game. That's all from me today. I hope you found this video interesting and maybe even learned something new. Thanks for watching and I will see you guys next time.